Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first round of the new season of PGS, which brings us to Belgium, which will see us have a sprint qualifying format for this first round of the season, which is just going to be underway in just a second. We will have drivers on the one-shot qualifying, so the format for tonight will be the one-shot qualifying, followed by the race, sprint race, and then we will have another one-shot qualifying. Go on board, find driver focus. While these drivers are going round on their laps, on the one shot they will have around this track, so obviously we had the two pre-race races, well, the two pre-season races which came before us. And looking at the race results in all of those, Jesper puts himself in a great position for the season himself. Man we're currently on board with at the moment, the Norwegian. He has won both races. The Bahrain's pre-season race he won from pole position, and also the same for the race in Hungary which we had last week, which was, if you want to go and check that out, it is on the channel if you want to go and check that out. But as we are coming towards the end of it, we'll have 8 laps of racing which will be coming your way for the sprint race, 50% of race distance around here. And then following that, we will have 22 laps of racing for your action ahead. And as I say, we'll go through a lap on board with one of these drivers in the next qualifying session once we are up and away. But anyway, it is currently a 1-2 for the VCarb team. Jesper currently leading his teammate, that being Wombat, currently quickest, going between the two of them. In the two V-Carbs. These two very much were the drivers to watch out for in the pre-season races, as Jesper is indeed on pole position for this first of 2 races here. We'll have a look at times in just over a second once they cross the finish line. So, your qualifying results. It is Jesper, your Norwegian, filing alongside his teammate, making an all Norwegian front row. 4 tenths per second, nearly half a second, 4.5 tenths covers. Top 2 is Jeremy and Tyre, P3 and P4, the Alpine and the first of the 2 Dick Saubers. Kostasar, the Greek driver, and Jerry, the Portuguese driver. McLaren and Aston Martin is 5th and 6th. 7th and 8th is Gulias and Wolfie. Nice to see Gulias back. And then it is Lockie, Chris, Carlson, Andreas, and Hazard, who were not able to get times on the board. But nice to see how Hazard gets on. Having seen him before racing, and he showed some promise from what I could see, but he was a little bit unfortunate from what I could see. So while we are waiting for the drivers to pick up on their strategies, because obviously I believe naturally there's no real strategies to these sprint races as such. A quick rundown of the circuit we are racing at today. The Spa-Francorchamps circuit, a 20 corner circuit. Drivers will obviously, as you can see it just in the back foreground, just to the left, you'll see the drivers racing their way down towards La Source, and then down in towards the kink at turn 2, and then Eau Rouge, and then up Radion to the complex of 3, 4 and 5, and then up 6 towards the Camel Straight towards the end of the first sector. Les Combes, which is turns 7 through to 9, and then through to turn 10, which heads you down to Bruxelles, and then 11, which is No Name, I believe, and then into Puon turn 12, the long left-hander, and then to turn 13 and 14, making up Campus, and which ends with 15, which leads you into Stavolo, turn 15, and then into turn 16 into Kublet. I'm not sure exactly how you best pronounce that. Turn 16 into 17, which is Blanchimon, into turn 18, into the bus stop chicane at 19, and then turns 20, where the drivers will be looking to get their best runs out of there to make sure that they can make good use of the DRS down the main straight. Well, making use of the DRS down the main straight is probably not going to be your best thing, because down the Camel Straight is where your other DRS straight is going to be on this track, and it's more likely where you're going to see a move being made. Mostly a smattering of the soft compound tyres, but there are a few drivers on the mediums. I think softs maybe aren't entire for them in this one-shot qualifying circuit, as the second of the two Cerberus has not been able to complete this formation lap. As I am looking and seeing that, yeah, very eager Jesper's getting himself going very early on. Good evening to yourself, Jeffy, in the chat. Hopefully you're doing well. Sorry to not see yourself tonight. Obviously, you're here tonight. You just said you were going to be a little bit in a bit of a rush, I think you said tonight, but you have indeed made it. The Portuguese contingent in 6th and 7th on the softs and on the mediums. And let's see how this all plays out. A few drivers obviously notably not here this week that were here during a few of the pre-seasons. We'll look forward to seeing how they get on throughout the rest of the seasons. Notably only one McLaren, David Scott, not here this week. And Bulk in the only Red Bull that was meant to be here tonight was unavailable due to the nature of the, I believe he had some medical not feeling his best tonight, and you always do want to feel your best whenever you're racing. So he was not in the field tonight, and Jesper has now realised that he is he needs to slow down, and he's now realised this, so he's now slowing down to get himself back towards the grid. But once again, as I say, that's something you're going to see a lot this season in Tier 2, is the fact that the V-Car drivers are very quick. It was a bit unfortunate saving place from Wombat, but yeah, I think he believe he did get himself back to P2 in Hungary in the end, even though he had his moments in the Hungarian pre-season race. And here we go, as Jesper forms himself up on the grid. We'll see if we've got a decent camera angle for once, because the game doesn't often give decent camera angles. There we go, good camera angle for once in the game. And we are now getting ourselves underway, as we're now seeing a few. That's Jeremy missed his grid box, as has Tiger. And let's see how all the drivers are indeed now starting to form up, as we have our drivers all on the grid, as we will now have the 5 red lights, and then it will be on that later for DRS, but we'll get to that when we get to that. 5 red lights are indeed on here for the first of 2 races here. It's a good start from Hazard. It's not a good start from Jesper though. That's got his teammate pass. It's also allowed Jeremy into turn 1. They are 3 wide in towards turn number 1. That's also Costasso trying to make a move as well, but he's lost a lot of positions as a result of a bad exit for Costasso, as Jesper's trying to make a move up the inside as they go through Radion, Eau Rouge Radion complex at the top of the hill, up the Kemmel Straight, as it's side by side, having to use a fair bit of, probably trying, maybe saving a little bit of battery was Jeremy, and Jesper's back into P2, and once again the V-Car drivers lead 1 and 2, Hazard's up to P5, good start there from him, he's up all the way from the back, near off the back of the grid. So good start there for the Williams driver, the only Williams driver in the field tonight. And now looking at a little bit further down, you've got Gulias trying to make a move just a little bit further down the field there as well. It's all going on, and Costasso's made a mistake, and that's going to put him under pressure. That's allowed him pass, and Jeremy's got himself back into P2. I think Jesper's made a slight mistake at Puon. He's maybe touched the curb there, not quite fully seen what's happened, but he's dropped all the way down to P10. Loki's had a bit of a moment himself. He's all the way back in P11, and Jeremy and Wombat are very close together. The Norwegian versus the Swiss, if that is indeed the real nationality of indeed. We've got a yellow flag. That is Lockie, I believe, who's had contact, well, not contact, but a little bit of a spin at the rear of the field, and I think he's got away with it, but Wombat is trying to come back here, the Norwegian, trying to get himself up into the lead of the Grand Prix. DRS will be enabled on this lap, so lap 2 of 8, one of the longest circuits on the F1 calendar of the year, if you exclude looking at the likes of Singapore. 50.7 is the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Jeremy indeed does lead the Grand Prix, of course, as we lead with DRS now enabled. And now we're going to see, is I think we've got Gulias with a spin at the rear of the field. I don't know what's happened to Gulias there. We'll have a quick look and see if we can spot anything, but I think he's away without any major damage. Wolf is trying to make a move himself, but he's made a little bit of a mistake, and now you've got Costasso, who's going to be under pressure here from Jevy. The first of the 2 Aston Martins, they're side by side, very close in terms of how it's looking, and it's still side by side, and I think it's a little bit of a wide moment for the Portuguese driver. Jesper making his way back through the field with a purple sector 1. as he tries to come back after that early mistake for himself. The Norwegian trying to regain the ground, as to say that he lost in that spin off a pull on lap number 1. Well, he's got a little bit coming behind. We've got Carlson as well, who obviously was only at one of the 2 races. Lockie has retired from the Grand Prix. I believe he's lost it on one of the curbs as Jesper tries to go round the outside of Jeffy. That's a great move from the outside there for Jesper, and he's now into P6 or P7. He's now into P6 because that was a mistake there from Wolfie in the Mercedes, running wide into the gravel. We saw that just in front. We'll stay on board with him just now because Castasso's about to be the next one under pressure, I believe. There's going to be a move made in towards Blanchimont into turn 18 as they come into 19 and 20, the bus stop chicane complex. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough. There is a little bit of a brief look there from Jeff. He tries to think about a move down the inside, but there's no movement to be made there, and a little bit of a rear wiggle there for the Aston Martin. That could be him under pressure from Carlson Andreas. He tries to make his way through, and Tiger meanwhile is now up to P3 in the Kick Sauber, the only Kick Sauber left in this Grand Prix now, as it's now going to be all about the DRS. And Hazard up to P4. He's made a great start. He's pretty much practically pushing Tiger through the corner. He very much could look like the real deal this season, as you can see the battle going on ahead as well. You can see them going side by side. Hazard goes into P3, and Wombat retakes the lead from Jeremy, and that, with the status quo, now change this, so you're going to see a lot in this Grand Prix, and something I've seen from a lot of racing in the past is how quickly positions can change according to the actual, let's just say, the change of position. That's lost the back end there for, I believe, Jeremy. There was some contact. I don't know, Hazard's been through the gravel trap rather, and Jesper's back into P3 and all of that. That is a great recovery there from Jesper. That's just showing his pace as Hazard's picked up a penalty for his troubles running out wide there beyond the white lines on the right hand side of the exit of Puon. And I think he's going to have to be careful, because I think he has picked up some damage potentially in that little bit of a contact there with Jeremy, who's now down to P10, and Jesper's trying to get through. He's probably going to make a move here as they go through Stavolo, and the exit of Stavolo and into the one that I just could not pronounce the name of, as we're into Blanchimont and in towards turn 18 and coming towards the bus stop chicane once again, the bus stop chicane complex once again, 19 and 20 as we head through. Is he going to make a move here? No, he opts to stay behind. He will probably get the DRS on this detection zone. Can he make the move stick? Coming down towards turn number 1 into La Source, and just with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 46.4 from the Visa Cash App driver, looking to get himself back into P2. If we're looking at Hazard could be, as I say, under heavy pressure here. He is indeed, I think, got some damage on that right hand side. He's missing a little bit of that front wing as we're halfway through this Grand Prix now, up Eau Rouge Radion for the 4th time in this race. Great exit there from Jesper. He's going to go side by side once again. Going to be an easy move around the outside. Not much Hazard can really do about that with the damage. I think Castasso's also going to be side by side as well as he makes his way through, as Castasso goes into P5 and Tiger drops down to P4, and then Tiger drops down to P5. So that's some Wolfies going side by side. A little bit of brief rear motion there from Castasso, the Greek driver, almost losing the rear of the car there. Does manage to keep hold of it though, and he's going to have to get himself back within range, and Hazard now is going to be his next target as he tries to make his move here as they go through Puon once again. Trying to get through still as the Castasso are still looking like the perfect driver at the moment, obviously with those soft tyres, and aided by the fact that he does have a full front wing, whereas Hazard in front of him does not have that same luxury. He's needing to make that move as soon as he possibly can make that move. Almost straight into the back of him as they head through at the exit of the second sector through Stavolo Complex. 15 and 16. They'll head through Blanchimont, turn Kink at 17 and into 18 once again for the 4th time, as it's very close once again with the 2 teammates up front. As they're going to go, as Castasso's going to have to go round the outside here if he wants to make his move into the bus stop complex. He's not going to be close enough to make it though, I don't believe, and the remains exactly the same. He still had DRS on, and that's cost him a lot of positions, and I think we've just seen position change for the lead. Yes, we have. DRS obviously assisting that one as he went into La Source. Turn number 1 as we got a yellow flag. That is going to be the Mercedes. In the background, Tiger and Castasso are going side by side. I think Castasso's had a moment A little bit further back, the two Visa Cash Apps probably going to go side by side once again, as it's going to be making sure they leave just enough space for each other. Wombat goes back around the outside, Jesper realising maybe he should have waited behind for the moment, and I think that the Mercedes, well, the McLaren, because that's where he's indeed got going again, but it has meant that he's dropped all the way pretty much to the back of the field, down in P10 at the moment for the McLaren. Will finish within the points as it stands, and the two Visa Cash Apps have managed to get out of hazard by 2.7 seconds. Tiger though is going to be trying to make his impression on that particular battle. We'll come back to this one in just a second as Tiger now makes his way through on Hazard. Hazard, that front wing damage really affecting his car with the rear contact that he had with Jeremy. He's now down in P8 at the moment after that particular moment, and I think there's indeed still, there's not a full front wing on that kick server either. So I think there's been some contact with Tiger somewhere in all of that melee. I'm not entirely sure where that's happened. There's now a huge train, and we'll look back a little bit further. Hazard trying to come back at him, actually trying to go round the outside, but he is off track and he picks up a penalty for his troubles. That's his second of the Grand Prix. Carlson a little bit further back as he heads through Bonchemont and into turn 18. Once again, he's trying to get line up a potential move. Is the Norwegian driver in the Haas? Is he going to be able to do it? He has both people in front and behind. He's got the contingent of Jebby, the Portuguese driver, and then he's got a Portuguese behind as well. So he's in between two Portuguese drivers at the moment. I don't think he's going to quite make a move stick. A little bit of rear motion there for Carlson Andreas, but he's not quite all good with that at the moment. He's using a lot of the battery. Tiger and Hazard go side by side once again. Hazard makes the move. Both these guys with damage on the same side. I believe it is right hand side damage. You can see those two in front battling as well. Gilles and Carlson go side by side. Gilles goes up to P6. Just at the end of the Kemmel Straight, using the DRS and probably a little bit of ERS deployment. Make that move stick. And once again, the Portuguese contingent in P5 and P6 as JV looks to try and make his way through, because obviously these guys in front of him both have front wing damage, so he needs to basically get through these guys, as well, these drivers, as quickly as per possible. We've got another yellow. I think that must be Jeremy, who's had a moment. Indeed, that is Jeremy. At a moment as they come through No Name. He's got going once again, but he has, I think, maybe been through the gravel trap perhaps on the right hand side of the track. As it looks like Wombat is almost at 1 second from his teammate as we're all coming towards the penultimate lap in this sprint race, lap 7 of 8. And Jebby looking like he's getting a little bit closer to the back, as you'll see a lot of drivers maybe saving here. Goules goes through. Just seeing that happen as he just indeed does head through, and Goules is going to try and make a move down the inside, but that door is going to get very quickly closed. Carlson tries to send it down the inside. He does make a little bit of contact with the side pod of Jebby in the second of the two Aston Martins. That comes a little bit of time there for the Aston Martin driver, the second of the two Aston Martin drivers. Hazard's managed to get himself a little bit away. Goules is running down towards Rouge Radio once again. Is he going to try and go? No, he decides to stay behind for now, as it looks like Tiger's going to be saving a little bit of battery. The kick server's going to have to be looking in his mirrors more than looking forward at this moment in time. The Portuguese driver, the leading Portuguese driver, is going to make his way through. Easy move made by Goules in towards P4. He's also one of the drivers without a penalty at the moment, and he's looking to get himself back into P3 and try and get past Hazard. 5.1 is the gap between the two of them, and it looks like that gap is just going to get bigger and bigger, owing to the fact that obviously the gaps, the front wing damage that is on both the cars in front and behind the Portuguese driver, as Jeremy is up into P8, making his way through on Wolfie, as those two are battling for P8 at the moment. The Mercedes is trying to make his way back, maybe make a move, as Tiger picks up a penalty now, so it's going to be so easy to do that in certain places around here. Mercedes driver having to opt to stay behind for now, and maybe the soft tires at this point are not the best tire to be on at this moment in time, as Goules now battling back with him. So on to the final, we will be going on to the final lap. It's 1.4 seconds. Jesper's got himself back to lead despite the spin. That really shows you the pace that he actually has this season. We did see it last season as well, but there was a little bits of bad luck here and there. that kind of stopped him from being able to do so, of actually showing what his true pace was. As Gilles tries to go round at the outside, but there's going to be no space there for him to actually make that move, and the Portuguese driver once again is going to be behind. As you can see, this massive train of cars which goes all from P3 all the way down to pretty much PA7, which is Carlson and Andres at the rear of that train. And well, Hazard now is going to be looking in his rearview mirror as they head towards Eau Rouge Radion Complex once again, and looking to see where that move will be made. And up towards the Kemmel, important to get a good exit coming off this corner. 0.6 of a second is the gap, half a second. Watch how quickly that gap drops. He is derating, but he's decided to opt not to fight that position as Gilles goes through the inside, and Hazard has to drop behind for the moment into P4, and looking like he does have to be careful with obviously that front wing damage. Tiger a little bit further back, and he has his company for behind, as Carlson and Andreas also having tried to make a move at the bus stop, was not able to complete the move as we're on to the final lap of the Grand Prix now. The two V-carbs with a little bit of a sizable gap. I think there's been a mistake from the second of the two V-carb drivers, because that gap wasn't that big before, so there's been a little bit of a moment there for the second of the two Visa Cash App cars. And Carlson and Andreas still meanwhile trying to make a move down the, think of it when he wants to make a move, he's running out of opportunities here. He's probably his final chance is going to be as he comes through and towards the complex. There's a little bit of it, that's someone been through the gravel trap. That was potentially Tiger who's had a moment in P5, potentially he's a little bit closer to these two, but we're going to have to go up to the front of the field at the moment. Jesper coming through to win here in the sprint race for the first round here in PGS Tier 2. Once again carrying on where he left off, win number 3. If we're carrying on from the pre-seasons, it's going to be P2 for Wombat. He comes across P2, it's going to be P3 for Gilles. Nice result for him. Kick Sauber in the background that's lost the back end, that was indeed Tiger. Hazard's going to come home in P4, but Carlson and Andreas will take P4 in the end, with penalties taken into account. Hazard P5, Jevy P6, Tiger comes home in P7 after the spin, and it's going to be Wolf come home in P8, with Jeremy to come home in P9, and Costasar, after having to pit I suspect for damage, is going to come home in that final P10 spot. So not the most ideal race for the McLaren driver, but complete opposite end of the spectrum for the winning car, once again carrying on his form. Jesper is indeed going to be a race winner here for the sprint race round of the first round here in Belgium, and then obviously we're just waiting for Stats to cross line, which he now has. And even though it was a bit of a shaky start there for Jesper, he managed to come back through the field and managed to win the sprint race here as Gilles picks up driver of the day. I think we'll just do it. Depends on what people feel about that. But it is indeed, as you can see there, we'll have a quick look. It is Jesper indeed. Carlson, I'm actually tempted to give that driver for the day to Carlson and Andreas, managing Gulaship. Yeah, we'll do it to Gulash for the sprint race. Carlson and Andreas a close second for that one. Not quite a perfect race for him, but he does indeed move up a few positions. Once again, where you leave off with the two Visa Cash App cars there, as you can see, and the rest of your results are on the screen. Hazard, in the end, that front wing damage costing him. He could have been up there with the two that were indeed there, the two Visa Cash App cars, and he'll be looking for improvements in the sprint race. As we now